A blank is a mathematical expression involving a sum of powers in one or more variables multiplied by coefficients. So the term is polynomial. Polynomial, I'll spell it in a second here. Polynomial. Shh, hold on. Remember, I'm recording, although I appreciate your help. And remember that a polynomial is something that looks like this. F of x is equal to x to the third plus 2x squared minus 4x. So when they're talking about a sum of powers of one or more variables, here we have x, x, x. Those are my variables. And then the powers are these numbers here. X raised to the third power, x raised to the second power, x raised to the first power. We don't have a 1 here, but that's implied. And then the sum is just adding and subtracting those values. Remember, the x represents a number that we would plug into the equation. Now, the blank of the polynomial is the greatest variable exponent in the expression. So I'm going to guess and say that that's degree. Now, based on my example, what's the highest power of x?
3.
3. So the highest power is the degree. Okay. Then lastly, the zero product, and we're running out of room, property states that the product of two or more factors is equal to 0, then at least one of the factors must be equal to 0. Now, an easy way to write that is sometimes we're going to get something like this. X plus some number p times x plus some number q times x plus some number r. If we set that equal to 0, that means that this, or this has to be equal to 0. In other words, we want to think to ourselves 0 times 0 times 0 equals 0. Now, essentially what that means is we're going to say x plus p then must be equal to 0, x plus q then must be equal to 0, x plus r then must be equal to 0. Remember, these things in parentheses are what we call factors of a polynomial. So we're going to eventually take a polynomial and put it through prime factorization, and we'll be left with a series of binomials. That's fancy math talk for x plus or minus a number times x plus or minus a number. And then to solve it, we want to make sure that it's set equal to 0. And if it's set equal to 0, we use this zero product property and set each factor equal to 0 and then solve for x. Any questions?